Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome back for another evaluation of my project, of my FMP project. So I'm gonna be letting you know the updates that what I've been doing this week. Um, so if I guess just get straight into it. So last week, I took a break from modeling to try and address some of the points that Rob made in his evaluation video. Some things that he felt like there were some things that I could improve on. So last week I took a bit of a break from modeling to go work on those things. Um, this week I've kind of completed those tasks to the best of my ability, the best of my knowledge so far. And so for this week, I wanted to get back to modeling because I feel like that would be more important. That would be where that'll be more important at the moment. And so, but before I get on with what I want to talk about with the model, with the work that I've done on the model, I just want to finish off what I was saying. So I have made some. I want to continue talking about some of the improvements that I've made to my written work before I get on with before I talk about the model. So first off, last week, another thing Rob wanted me to improve on was to have a better or clearer um, schedule or a plan for what I want to do or how I'm going to finish the project. So but he also said that he would want to see my Trello board moved over to the planning and production page. So which I've done. I said he only needed my initial Trello board to be on the context page, but oh sorry. But as far as like any updates I make, I've moved it over to the planning and production page. Oh, sorry. Which reminds me, yeah, I think it'll be after this week. It'll be a good idea with the steps I've taken this week. It'll be a good idea to update the Twitter board again. But this is the big thing I want to talk about. Is that I've made. So as I said, Rob wanted me to go into a bit more detail about a plan and then to make it a oh, sorry. Because I had a plan, or I had a very basic plan, or a schedule that I used for my proposal, or used from my proposal. But as Rob said, that was just kind of a very basic, like almost guessing, because I had a very clear idea of what I wanted to do for the beginning part of the project. But as the project kind of continued, I think I had a bit harder time thinking about what comes next. So I thought now would be a good time. Now that I'm at this point, now would be a good time to make another plan, a plan that's a bit more clearer and kind of shows that I'm working towards something. So this is what I've done. This is a screenshot from my calendar from my iPad, and in this plan that I've made, or schedule that I've made, I've given myself a task for each day this week. This is the last week of the holiday, and hopefully, again, ideally working towards this plan. If this plan worked out perfectly, then ideally by the end of this week I should have my model finished. But unfortunately, when I was making this plan, and I was really adamant that I wanted to stick to it because I wanted to show that I can come up with a plan and I can stick to it, because I feel like that's a kind of a weakness I have. I've mentioned before about how like presenting information in a timely manner or timely fashion is that I'm not very good at it, as in I feel like I kind of take too long explaining things. And so the making this plan was kind of, I wanted to show that I could stick to what the tasks I've set out for myself, and hopefully complete them in the right time. But unfortunately, before I move on, let me just finish talking about what I've written here. So I started this plan on Saturday, and it's currently Thursday. So first I wanted to finish making the custom textures I wanted for my project, which I will get to. I'll get to those custom textures in a minute. So I gave myself Saturday and Sunday to do that. And then on Monday, I wanted to finish modeling all the objects in my environment, which I was very happy to get done. And on Tuesday, unfortunately, things didn't work out as well as I was hoping on Tuesday, because ideally I wanted to get all the texturing work done on that day, but unfortunately I didn't. I got like halfway through texturing, and I wasn't able to finish it all on that one day. So I decided to kind of split it between. So I kind of I finished. So I started the texturing on Tuesday and finished it on Wednesday. So I do well, in the plan. I said I was going to add the glowing effect on Wednesday, but that's gonna have to be pushed over to today, which isn't so bad. It's just I because when I first on Tuesday, when I wasn't able to forget all the textures, all the objects textured, I was very disappointed, because I felt like I kind of failed in what I set out to do. But later on, I kind of thought about it and kind of felt better. As in the point being, I felt that the problem with me kind of setting out to a task to get it all done on that day was that I felt like I was rushing myself. I felt like I wasn't really thinking or really kind of taking into account the quality of of how the textures look with each other, with all the textures, whether all the textures looked good together. I was kind of in too much of a rush, and so I felt kind of bad about that, and said after I kind of took a break, and I came back to it, I kind of realized it probably is a good idea that I kind of took a break and kind of decided to do it on another day, or finish it off on another day. But also to be very proud that and also to be very proud that I got so far in one day. As I said, I didn't finish it, but I did do a lot. Most of the environment was textured by the end of Tuesday. So yeah, so looking back, it was a good thing that I kind of took that break, because I felt like gave me an opportunity to kind of take a step back, and kind of assess what I'm doing, and assess the quality of the model itself, and of the textures of the model, and see if it all works together. I think in the future, because again, I also have to realize this is my first time kind of or one of my first time setting out like a plan for myself and trying to stick to it. So I have to realize that I'm not going to get it. I may not get it in on the first go. I may not be able to. It may take a few goes before I understand how much time it takes to do something. I think maybe that's the other. I think that's a better way of putting it. In that, once I kind of get a bit more familiar with texturing and modeling, and then maybe then I can have a better idea of kind of thinking and saying, for a project like this, is because again, something else I didn't take into account before kind of setting that deadline, if you will, was that This environment model I'm making has way more objects in it than I've ever used in any other project. So that was probably something I should have taken into account before setting that deadline. The point is, I've learnt from it. I've learnt from the experience. So, because as I said, on Tuesday when I finished or got halfway, at first I was kind of very disappointed that I wasn't able to finish it all. But later on, and I was able to um, think about it. Once I took a break from it, I was able to take a step back and kind of realize that maybe I was rushing too much. And kind of obviously, when you're rushing or when you're not really thinking about things, it's easier or more likely to make a mistake, like, and not to pay as much attention to things. And so on the second day, on Wednesday, I felt a lot more confident coming back because I felt like I felt like it was a good idea to take that break and and overall it doesn't really make that much of a difference for my plan, the plan that I've got here. But the reason I felt like I was putting so much pressure on myself was that I kind of felt like this would be something that I'd have to do in work. And I was so willing to show that I could make a plan and stick to it, and because I felt like that would be an important skill for work. But also I have to realize, as I said before, this is my first time kind of setting out a plan like this, so it might take a while before I kind of um, realize how much time I need for certain tasks. That's because obviously as I texture and model more, I kind of understand how much time it will take, and so then I'll be able to make the necessary adjustments and say that for a project like this, with lots of different objects which need lots of different textures, then it will take. It'd probably be a good idea to factor in 2 days and not just one day. So yeah, that's what I learned. That was my experience with that. So today, as you can see, I'm doing my evaluation, but also I thought doing the oh no, this is Thursday. Um, so I modeled. So my plan for Wednesday and Tuesday and Wednesday was just to finish texturing the main room, the main office itself. And so today I was gonna texture the hallway, which really shouldn't take that long because there's not as many objects in that scene in that area. But also today I want to try and add the glowing effects and see how that looks. So again, so it doesn't really make that big of a change of my plans. I just kind of switch everything to a different day. Then on Friday, I was going to test out the lighting and the rendering engines and see how they worked, see how it worked, and see how it looked. So I was going to once I add the glowing effects, I want to see. Obviously, I want to see how well it lights up the area, or if maybe it's too bright, and whether I need to take some lights away um, or decrease the intensity of the light. Then on Saturday, I was going, and again, if once I kind of got the lighting situation fixed, or once I got the lighting situation done, I was going to take screenshots of because at that point the model would be pretty much finished at that point. Then I take screenshots, and then on Sunday I was going to add the finished screenshots to my ArtStation account, and then add it to my site here and talk and write about it there. And then of course on Monday we'll be back to college, and then on Tuesday, like I could do either day. But when I get back to college on either Monday or Tuesday, it would be finishing off any written work that I had left to do. That was going to be my plan. and it still is at this point. So as I said, so this is the schedule I've made for this week. This is just like a task bar that I've given myself on Google Calendar. This is a task bar. This is a application that I've used before on other projects. It just helps me kind of remember what tasks I have to do, and it helps just being able to tick them off once I've completed them. And then this was these are the custom textures I was talking about. So certain objects, I felt certain objects in the room would kind of benefit from some custom textures. Is so some of these objects being the blue scratchy wall screen, the posters slash certificate to go onto the wall behind the captain's desk. I was gonna do book covers for the small books in the corner, but I decided against it because I felt like it wouldn't be necessary. It'd be a waste of time, really, because the books are so far away from the camera that you wouldn't be able to get a good look at them. So there's really no point in kind of going into detail and putting on pictures and words onto the book cover. So I decided to not do that. The coffee machine screen. I just wanted to add like a small screen with like different options for different coffees the machine could make. Like the first aid box texture which I made myself. Then the circle logo texture or the ship logo texture. And then the table logo texture, which I've made myself. Both of these, all three of these, I made myself. I've already made. Then the captain's nameplates. It's next to the logo, and then the space outside background, which I haven't done yet, but I did talk about in my research. So I should have placed it here really, but I forgot to write about that. So originally I was gonna do like a strategy screen. So it's gonna be like in the sketches. If you look, like then it was gonna be like so you're gonna have the ship, the main ship, and then it was gonna have like different like enemy ships, a different color for the enemy ships, and kind of it was gonna show where they were and things like that. But I thought a better idea, because again, it didn't really make sense to have like a screen showing enemies and showing like different like battle strategies when this is supposed to be the kind of the theme I wanted for this environment to be very relaxed. Even though it's this kind of very serious environment, I wanted it to be in a relaxed state. So it's not like they're being shot at on some battle or something. I wanted it to be very calm. So instead of doing that, I instead got an idea to do like a radar, like the radar dish that you see on many different Navy ships. And for this, I used Photoshop to make all of these different textures. And for this, as I just did like a simple radar template along with like the other landmarks that you might be able to, that would be around the ship. So there's Earth and like different space stations outside of Earth, and then the moon with different like a colony of people living on the moon. Because again, this is supposed to be in the future. So I was very happy with how this turned out. Very simple, but I thought it would work for what it needs to its job in the environment. I thought it worked fine. The next thing I did was the military certificate. Now I was very surprised at how long this kind of I wasn't expecting it to take as so long, and mainly because I was trying to kind of think about what I wanted it to say. but also another thing that kind of distracted me was I taking too long in kind of making a design, because again, this is not a very like important part of the environment. As in, I feel like most people will kind of not notice it, won't notice it. But I still wanted it to be there. I still wanted the environment to have a bit of character, if you will. So, but I think I took way too long kind of thinking about how I could improve it and how I could and the different kind of designs I could come up with. But I think it would be I think it's just best I think it was best just left very simple, very to the point. I think that's the main point I want to get to. Is that that's kind of what I learned from this? Is that again I kind of overcomplicate things sometimes or overthink things sometimes when and all it really needs is just to be or just kind of focus on the essentials is what I'm saying. And so there's the military certificate that will be behind the captain's desk, will be on the wall behind the captain. These two are just like pictures of different planets that will be again our posters behind the captain's desk. I thought it'd be very because like originally I was going to make my own images. I was going to draw my own images. But I felt like one, I didn't feel like they would look good enough, and two, I felt like I was going to take too long. Again, as I said with the this certificate, I kind of overthought it and kind of trying to get the perfect design. What's the word? Over perfectionism, and I felt like I was going to do the same thing with these images. So I just thought it'd be better and a lot quicker just to get some images of different planets. It would be that maybe the captain again the captain a picture of Earth. It would make sense and on the ship and then Saturn, maybe another planet that they've been to, the ship has been to. Again, I was going to make my own coffee machine screen, but I found this one online and I thought it worked fine as it was. So I just decided to use this image instead. As so that's what I'm gonna use for the coffee machine screen, and then this is the texture that I've used or the texture that I've made for the first aid box. Now this one over here is from Procreate on the iPad, which I made on the iPad. This was the only texture that I used. I didn't use Photoshop to make. But I felt this one would be too small for this big box, so I made another version, a bit bigger this time, on in Photoshop, and I used that instead, and it worked. And this one worked perfectly. It worked exactly how I was hoping for. So yep. And then these were the nameplates that I made, which are gonna go next to the logo for the ship. Again, used Photoshop to make these. I used like a made like a background, a flat background to go behind it, so hopefully it would fit the 3D shape that I've made for the nameplates. But also I decided to use Photoshop to make the nameplates because it would be so much easier to do that instead of like using each individual shape, because I've done that before where I've tried spelling out words using shapes, but it's just it's so time consuming and it's very difficult to kind of get the right sizes for everything, and all the different letters end up being different sizes, and it doesn't look as good. So that's why I decided to use Photoshop instead, because it's a lot easier and it's a lot faster. But also, if you notice, I've taken screenshots of both nameplates in one, and I've done them separately as well. Oh, because again, I didn't know which one I was going to need, so I thought it'd be a good job to get them both. Also, So a screenshot of them, of the both plates together, and a screenshot of separate screenshots of each nameplate. And I made a small adjustment to this logo, which was I just changed the name up here. That was the only thing that I did, because again, after I had the focus group with Tom, Adam, and Nathan, I think. He mentioned that it would be a good idea if I changed the name to something that's not a real branch of the military, which I thought was a good idea, because I don't want to get into or deal with any legal problems that which may come from that. So I just thought it'd be a much better, much safer idea to just come up with a different name. And so this is the different name that I've chosen for my fictional space navy. And these two logos, of course, I've already made for the project. So just talking about them here. And then I've already talked about why I'm not using book cover or not making any book covers, because they're just too far away. They're just too small of a part of the environment, which I don't think anyone would be able to. One, it's too far away from the camera, and not many people would be able to see. So I didn't think it would be very important. So this is the written work that I've done, or not the written work in my planning and this is the new sections that I've made for my planning and production page. But most of my work, most of the work that I've done this week have come from my practical skills page. If I go back all the way down, and so as I said, I think the last time I was working, I kind of left it up here, I think. So, as I said, I managed to finish making all the necessary objects for the environment. And so the windows, the door, the phone, the different panels, the fire extinguisher. And this is just me talking about how I've done each part and the different tools that I've used. And then something else Rob talked about was he wanted me to add more videos of me making things. And so this is what I've done here. Now, he talked about me recording, making something, and then speeding it up later. Oh, sorry. Which I thought was a good idea. I agreed with it. I thought that would be a good idea. But unfortunately, I've kind of discovered... sorry. I was hoping that my recording software would be... my very basic recording software would be good enough to just speed up the video. But unfortunately, what happens is when I tried doing that. I tried recording videos of me making certain parts of the project, but I've tried speeding up. But what happens is that yes, it does speed it up, but it doesn't play the whole video. It like cuts out halfway because, of course, I've shortened it. But usually when you shorten a video or when you speed up a video, of course, it gets to the end quicker, but it still plays the whole video. But for the recording software I've got here, it just didn't do that, unfortunately. So the only alternative would be that I could speed it up, but I just wouldn't be able to show the entire video because it would just cut out halfway. So what I decided to do instead was just take very short videos, because again, I don't want them to be too long. I don't want to take up too much time making these certain parts. So what I've decided was just to make these very short videos of me making certain objects and doing certain tasks. But unfortunately, I just won't be able to speed them up the way I was hoping. So this is me so this video is me making the sofa in the office, and this one is me making the hallway to the office next door, and how I went through that process. Yes, so those are the two videos that I've. Oh, that's it. I've added these two videos to my FMP file or folder on my Google Drive, my college Google Drive. So, oh, now that I've added them to that folder, Rob should be able to see them and play them here. And so I'll ask him about that next time I get back to college. Then I just me talking about how I finished the second half of the room, and I've also finished making the hallway as well. Then this part is me getting into the texturing and UV mapping of the environment, and so these are the two websites I've got my textures from Ambient CG. I've already talked about why I'm using Ambient CG in my research because I used it last year. I'm kind of familiar with it, but I'm also using this other site, textures.com, because it has some other textures that Ambient CG doesn't have. So first I kind of wanted to start testing out these different textures and see how they looked. And then so this is the combination of nodes that I've used on every texture in my environment. And so let me see if I can explain it. So here's the model itself. Here's it all textured. Oh, the room at least is the office at least is textured. I go back over here. You can see the other side of the room is all textured as well. But hang on, let me see if I can get this one and kind no, let's get a different one over here. Over here, that's it. So so this is the wall of my room, and so in order to start texturing I need to move over to the shading tab, and this is where all the texturing takes place. Yes. Now, at first I was kind of concerned because I wasn't able to see the textures, but that's just because I wasn't in the rendered view. So this is the view that I use. This is the view I use while modeling, doing my basic models. And this is the rendered view. So this is what the environment will look like when it's rendered. But also the thing about the rendered view is that it's what allows light to be shown. So of course without light, you can't see the textures, or you can't see them as well. Anyway, you can't see how the light reacts to the textures. So that's why I've added a light into the room. Now this is not going to be a permanent light. This light will be removed at some point because I want these squares up here are going to be lights. Right, so I'll see how they look first. So anyway, so this is the node for this shape. Right? So this is like the, how do I say it, the blueprint, if you will, for the shape. As in, if I change, there's lots of different settings I can change here, and that will change how the shape looks. Like if I increase the metallicness, it will make it look more metal. So what I've done here, and this is the same configuration for every texture in this environment. So I won't be going through all of them because they're all the same basically. The only thing that changes are these. Now these two are the image textures. This one is the normal image texture, or the normal bump map, or normal map, and then this is the height map, or the bump map. This is what gives it a bit of depth, a bit of 3D depth. Like if you kind of see, you can kind of see the pattern going on in the wall, in the texture. But also if you see, you look down here, kind of difficult to see, but you kind of see there's a bit of a groove in the texture, and that is the bump map. So if I lower this, it kind of makes it just like so this is the strength of the bump map. So if I lower this, it basically just becomes a flat image, where if I raise it, it kind of becomes a bit more 3D. It gives a bit of depth to the texture. These two are so these are in ambient CG. They give you like different layers of the texture, and you're supposed to put them on top of each other. And this is how I figured out doing it. I figured out this method last year when I was texturing my last FMP project. So by connecting, so this is the normal map vector, and this is the bump map vector. And by connecting these two together and adding it to the principal shader, which is the shader which controls the entire look of the shape, it adds the texture I want. And so yeah, that's how I textured this entire environment using the same method over and over again. And I just so for most of the environment, I used the sci-fi plating, which I got. Where the hell? There it is. So this is the video that I used to learn how to do all this, how all the different nodes worked, and I found this video last year while I was doing my last FMP project, with me going through the process of doing it all. But also what I did was, well, for some parts of the environment, because if you look here, I mean, it's very, they're here, over here. It is very difficult to see, but there are like these circle things on the texture itself, and I didn't really want them so close to this shape. So what I did, I had to use the UV editor, which is over here now. Let me just switch that off and go back over here. Great. There we go, that's better. I had to use the UV editor. So if you click, go into edit mode and click on all these faces, then I'm able to, oh no, don't want to do that, do it over here. And if I move all these faces, then I can move the texture where I want them to be. So as I said, I didn't want the texture, I didn't want the circles to be over there, so I just moved them over here so they weren't where I didn't want them. So that's how I did that. And I had to do that for some of the other some of the other shapes as well, or some of the other textures as well. This is just kind of, I had to make, in order to get the different colors. So like if you notice, it's the floor is a different color to the walls. I had to make new walls basically, because originally all of this was all one. All the walls were all one shape. So any color I put on the wall would go to everywhere else. So I had to make new walls to go, or new shapes to go into those spaces to kind of make sure that they were all separate. And then of course this is the, and then over here, this is the wood texture that I used for, as I said I was going to use for the back wall, and it looks okay. I mean, I wish maybe I could have found a better. It's not. I don't think it's the texture itself, but I just think maybe I could have found. I don't know. I feel looking at it, I feel like there'd be something done about it. It's I don't know. Maybe I wanted to be a bit smoother, but this was the smoothest I could get, the smoothest wood texture I could find, and so yeah, so I'm happy with how it looks. I'm happy with how it look, and I think it kind of. I'm happy I was able to add it to the environment, because as I mentioned before, it makes a change from the kind of cold metal walls from that surrounds most of the environment, but I got this from Ambient CG. And this is just me talking about how I had the process I went through adding the textures onto the different objects. Then this is me talking about UV mapping and the different objects I had to use UV mapping on. And so UV mapping just means that I've added an image, basically an image texture. Because if you look here, this is an image texture. Oh, this is an image texture that I've added to this shape, and then I had to go over to the UV editor, and I go back. The and I add in the no, not that one. Great. It's not the one I wanted. This is the one. So, this is the texture. Oh, this is the different texture that I've made in Photoshop. So obviously this is the logo I made in Procreate. This is a screenshot of the logo I made in Procreate. But I also added this black bar. Now the reason I added this black bar was because as I want these faces to be black. So what I did, so as you can see, all these are the different edges around the first flat shape, but all of these, if I highlight them, you can see that I placed all the side faces in this black square, and so now of course they're all black. They're exactly the way I wanted them. Whereas again, if I was to move these over here, then you could see. Oops! Oh no, don't want to do that. Then you could see that you can start seeing this texture on these faces as well. So that is why I've added this black bar, so that I have the edges have somewhere to go, or another texture that they can use. And so this is what I've done for some of the objects in the environment. I've done this for this logo. I did UV map the logo, the posters here, the certificate, the box, the first aid box, the logo, and the coffee machine. And those were and the name tags up here. Oh, of course, and the radar screen. And now I had a bit of problems with the radar screen. It didn't. Unfortunately, if you kind of look closely, it kind of bends a bit in certain areas, because the problem I made, what I didn't think about, was how, if I go, was when I made it, I didn't really take into when I made it, I didn't really take into account the strange shape it had. So I think if I had done that, it probably would have looked a bit better. And so I just had to kind of get it looking the best it could. And the same happened with this this logo here. Oh, actually no, and the names here. If you look, they're kind of bent a bit, and I had to kind of get them looking the best they could. And then I couldn't really figure out why it was bending like this. So maybe it's because of how I made the shape, the background shape behind it. But I just had to get it looking the best it could without looking too deformed. But I had the same problem with this logo here. I think it was all kind of stretched and it didn't look very good. And so I had to, if I look over here, I took video of me doing of some of the UV mapping to kind of get a better idea of what I was talking about. This is me talking about the radar screen. I also changed the great. this shape over here, because it was kind of going into this shape here was kind of going into the screen. Whoops. Which of course didn't really make much sense, hence then you wouldn't be able to see the screen, so I just added this small part here to kind of stop it from going into the screen. But as you can see here, it's kind of, originally it looked kind of all bent and deformed, and so what I did a different, because originally what I did is I kind of tried moving all these different, corners is around the shape, and it just ended up looking worse. But what I did on the next shape, or the next logo, I just kind of highlighted everything, and highlighted the whole shape, or the whole face, and just used the scaling tool, which kind of kept everything the same size, and I was able to just kind of fit the circle around the logo. And so I went back and redid it, and it looks much better now. And then there's me talking about the different the nameplates and everything, and then me talking about the first aid box and how well it all worked. Now I kind of wish I kind of took video of UV mapping the coffee machine, because I feel like that would have been a much better. If I go back over here, over here, this one, and I kind of wish I did a video talking about, recording myself making the coffee machine, because I feel like that would have been a much better example of UV mapping. And unfortunately, it's kind of course, it's all finished and done with now, and I can't go back and kind of show you again what I did. So as you can see, I've placed this image I wanted into the small screen here. I thought that would be enough, because again, the coffee machine is still kind of far away. So I wanted to keep things simple, and then this me tour the different. So I use a lot of different, two mainly methods of texturing. So one, I just use like textures I found online and from different websites, the websites I mentioned, and then I did that for most of the environment, but some of the environment I kind of left without textures, because I felt I felt they looked better. I did like I did like test out different textures and see how they would look. But I just kind of liked the kind of simple, plain look that they had. And I felt like it made a nice change from all the other textures that were around the environment at the time. So for these textures, all that I did was go into the principal shader, and change their color, but also I raised the metallic settings so it looked more like metal, it reflected more like metal as well. And I did this for a lot of the different objects like in the scene, so like as well over here. Now I felt like I made a bit of a mistake with the fire machine, the fire extinguisher, because originally my original plan was I wanted this to be red, but I wanted this bit up here to be black or another color. But since I kind of I connected them together, so now of course it would be, if I put one color on everything, it would look exactly the same. I mean, it would cover the entire object, as you can see here. So I think I should have kind of thought ahead and kind of kept these two separate objects, and then once I textured them, then I could have connected them. But I could have thought about that before. And over here, so the two other textures from online that I used was this metal texture that I found online for the door. I used this texture for the door, for the like bolts over here on these 4 bolts here. The wheel, the handle, I used it for this panel shape here, and those were the only other, well, not the only other texture, but these were the only objects I used this texture on. And ideally, I wanted to look for something a bit smoother, something that wasn't so rough, I guess. But if I don't, and I've already kind of lowered the strength of the bump map up, so it's already kind of as almost as smooth as it's gonna get. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the kind of material or the kind of metal that I was looking for. So this will have to do for now. I was unable to download any other textures I wanted because that would have costed money. So that's what I did there. And this was another metal texture that I used. Metal plate texture that I used, and I felt this looked very good on this. Oh, sorry, I felt this looked really good for this chair. But me, and it definitely makes a change from the rest of the room. But if you kind of notice, there's a bit of kind of pulling here on the kind of stretched out places here, and the reason for that is because this is all one shape, and so the texture is having to wrap around this whole shape. Whereas I think if I did them separately, so I did like the chair, and then I made the arms separate objects, then I probably wouldn't have had this kind of tearing situation going on. But it doesn't make that much of a difference. I think it still looks good. But these are like these little this is fabric, and I wanted a bit of a different material for the and I've kind of already talked about the fabric material, finding the fabric and downloading the fabric material on my research page. Again, this was always what I had intended for the fabric material, and so for these shapes, I just kind of beveled. Hang on, no, go here. So for these shapes, I just beveled the edges, so it made them all very round. And cause the last thing I wanted was to have this fabric material, but then have it like looking like a square, like a very harsh, an uncomfortable square. So I beveled the edges to make it very smooth, so it looked more like a fabric material. And now that I think about it, it'd probably be a good idea to put this kind of material on the. Oh, look at it, it's kind of hard to see. Probably be a good idea to put this kind of. Oh, no, over there. Oh, why did it always? No. I want. Oh, for goodness sake, there we go. It would probably be a good idea to put this kind of material on the chair as well. Well, it would fit. It would fit the theme I'm going for. Now the reason I left these again hard to see. If I just go back out here and make things easier. For goodness sake. And the reason I left these undone, untextured, because again from the camera you wouldn't be able to see them. So there's again not point in texturing them if no one's gonna see them. So yep, that's all the texturing process I did for the environment itself, for the office itself. These two were also just changing for goodness sake. Where is it? There we go. The principal shader, and just changing the color, and making it more metallic so it looks more metal. So that's what I did for these two objects here. Where I go back to the modeling. There we go. So this is, as I said, this is what I've done for I've finished texturing the environment, the main environment, the office itself, but I've also finished, again it's hard to see, I've also finished making the hallway, and as you can see, yeah, the light from inside the room is coming through the window and into the hallway, which is a nice touch. But if I just go into here, there we go. You can see it a lot better. So today I want to try and get this textured as well. Oh, cause then all the texturing will be finished. Um, and then basically the texturing process for my model will be finished. Well, hang on a minute. Well, if I've, that's just because. Okay, no, never mind. And I thought that since I textured this side, the other side should be textured as well, but it's just because I'm in this render view. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So of course my next plan is to get this finished, texture everything in here, which I don't think is going to take too long. Then the next plan will be to test out to add the glowing effect to these shapes here, and see how they light the room, and what it looks like. So that will be my next task. And once that's finished, and once I kind of gotten the right nice balance, and so the lights look good and you're able to see everything, then I will take screenshots of what it looks like, or highlighted and everything. Oh, that of course, that reminds me as well. I also want to add a space picture here, or a picture of stars, a space background here. So of course, if you look through, it will just look like space. So that's something else I've got to do. So yeah, that's all the progress that go back. That's all the progress that I've made with my environment this week. I'm very happy with the progress that I've made. I feel like I've done a lot in this week. Um, I'm very happy how the environment looks. And I'm happy to see that I was able to capture my sketches so much, as in like they almost again looks one for one how it looks in the sketch, which I'm happy I was able to deliver what I promised, basically. Oh, and also something else I've started doing, and really I should do this for every object in the environment, but for now I've just done the desk, the chair, and the wall decorations. So these are like little groups, and I've grouped up all the objects that go into making this all the different shapes that go into making that object, and I've grouped them all together. So if I click on the desk that's here, and I switch and I hide it, then the desk will disappear, because all those objects are all in one group. And same goes for the decoration. Oh, didn't realize everything. I have to go change that later. But the same goes. Go back. No. Go back. So if I hide the desk goes. If I hide the chair goes. You get it. And I'm planning to do that for most of this room. So just kind of keep things organized anyway. But as I said, my next plan will be... No. For goodness sake. There we go. My next plan will be adding texture to the hallway. Then it will be adding the lights, adding the blue lights that are going to go up here, and possibly down here if they need to be. Get the lights finished, then it will be taking and then when those things are done, I can take screenshots, and it'll be finished, basically. So that's my plan at the moment, and so that's all the progress that I've made with my environment so far. I've also made new copies of this environment, and so every step of the way, or every what's the word, big achievement that I've kind of made with the project, I've saved and made another copy. So when I finished modeling all the objects I needed, I made a copy. When I finished modeling or texturing the whole environment or the room, I made a copy. So that, of course, as I said, if anything happens, I can just go back to that copy. So that's everything I've done with my environment so far. Oh, everything I've done so this week. I still have a few things to talk about. I also explained, I added another problem, and I talked about how I was a bit disappointed about not being able to keep to schedule, to keep to the plan that I had. But I learnt from it, and I've kind of decided to move on from it. I'm actually, now I think about it, I'm thankful, but there's not as many problems came up in this environment, in making this environment, as I thought. Like I mentioned last week or the week before, I thought that adding the textures were gonna, maybe a problem would arise there, but there hasn't been anything so far, and hopefully there won't be anything. But yeah, so that's just something that I've added to my problems that I've experienced. What was the other thing? Oh, the last thing I want to talk about, which I kind of forgot about, was that the last thing that Rob talked about, the last kind of improvement he wanted me to make, which was I told him about the he what he looked at this page, and he was happy with it, but he just said that he wanted me to make it a bit more obvious which Peggy rating that I've chosen, and make it clear. So yeah, I forgot to do that, but that's something else I need to think about, something else I need to keep in mind and not forget about. But hopefully, I don't think that should take very long to do. Oh, so I'll do it at some, obviously I'll do it at some point. Um, but yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. All the major um developments that I've had come across. I've all the major developments I've made in my project so far, or in my project this week. Um, I'm very happy with the progress that I've made, and very, now that I've kind of not taken a break, but now that I've got the big stuff out the way, so like the texturing and the modeling and the texturing. Now I got all that stuff out the way. I'm kind of, I can take a step back and kind of appreciate how far I've come and what I've done, and I'm very happy with the progress that I've made. Um, there are some things that I wish I was able to improve on, or with my model, as in, I again, like like I went like finding, like, one thing I talked about in my research was I wanted to find a simpler or way of texturing, but in the end I kind of decided that the more, not more complicated, but the way that I did last week or last year got the best results. But I kind of wish I was able to improve my texturing skills a bit more, so that, again, because I can use the same trick as I did last year, and I kind of wish I kind of went a bit more, kind of learned a bit more about texturing and everything, and different techniques I could use. But I'm happy with but I think for now I want to just kind of, shall we say, so that's one thing, I suppose. It was but there was some other things I wanted to improve that I could wish I could have improved on the model, and all of them are kind of revolve around my kind of skill level that I have at the moment, and kind of wishing I could do more, and wishing I could improve more on what I've done. But as I said, I'm happy with considering what I know now, and considering the time I have left for the project. I'm happy with what I've done again, and I could kind of find new ways of doing things or research new techniques I could use. But I feel like this far in the project, I think it'd be a better idea to just kind of work on the model and finish the model, and get it done. And because that's another problem about finding uh, using new techniques is that, of course, if something goes wrong and you don't know how to fix it, it, it can kind of ruin your progress and ruin what you do and the progress you were making, and might uh, make you more not be able to finish the project on time, because you wanted to try and add this something new, which I don't know. Again, I talk about this before, um, but um, again, I don't know how, because I know the project deadline is in May, but I just don't know when in May it is and so I know I'm running out of time to get this finished and get it all done, and so I think that's more important to focus on right now. Getting the project finished, getting my model finished, getting the written work finished is more important right now. Oh, than trying to find new ways of making things at the moment. And so that's basically what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to get to anyway. Um, and so I don't know when we go back. I don't know how long we've got before the deadline hits. So right now I want to just kind of stay focused on the plan that I've made for this week, and hopefully I can get it done, and by this hopefully I can get it done by this week. But we'll see. But if that is the case, then I should hopefully get it all finished by this week, and then next week I can catch up with, or when I go back to college, I can catch up with any written work I have to do, or or, or if I have to make any small improvements, then I can do it then as well. But as I said, so that's everything that's happened this week. Everything, all the big improvement or big changes that I've made, developments to my model. And I just need to keep reminding myself that I need to add it to be a bit more specific and talk about which specific Peggy age that I've decided on for my project. So thank you everyone, and that's it.